Find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
Work sucks. Am I right, Jay?
Yeah, Kay, it does. But luckily, the Fuck My Work Life podcast is here to help you through.
In this comedy podcast, we share memorable workplace stories through guests and listener submissions in the hopes of brightening your day, or at least leave you thinking, maybe you don't have it so bad after all.
Listen to Fuck My Work Life on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on all the socials at FMWL Pod.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cryptid Cocktail Party, a show where we have a few drinks, share a few laughs, take a dive into the unknown. I'm your host, Dave, and today I'm joined by, tattoo artist and I guess purveyor of the paranormal, I guess, Joshua Belanger. I don't know, how would you... Does that work?
Yeah, I mean, that's as good an intro as any, you know. I've been, loved all this stuff since I was a teenager, you know. I'm sure that's when you got into this stuff too, and so I just loved all this stuff with paranormal kids also, but like for some fucking weird reason, the Hellmouth Instagram took off with being a UFO page, and I was like, I don't know why, but I guess I'll just lean into it. So screw it.
Well, I mean, I guess that's kind of good because you don't know what we're talking about today, right?
Nope.
All right. Well, this kind of falls into that category, so
all right.
Might, you know, I don't know. I guess my first question for you is, you ever been to Wisconsin?
I've driven through. I've done multiple cross-country trips. Nothing solid.
Nothing solid. All right. Well, today we'll be heading to the heartland of America, which is Polk County, Wisconsin, home to 10 villages, 24 towns, and 25 unincorporated townships. Polk County is basically your average, like, rural farming community. We got a ton of those, like, up for where we're from in, like, New Hampshire and Maine, like, especially like the further up you go into Maine, where like half the towns are just like numbers and letters and like a series of dashes. Yeah, it's kind of that vibe. Suffice it to say, not a whole lot of excitement in Polk County, Wisconsin. I went to the official Polk County website just to kind of get an idea of the area that we're going to be discussing today, just because I think it's good to get like your finger on the pulse of, you know,
get a little context to what's going on.
Yeah, get an idea. So I went to the news section to see what's popping off in Polk County, and gotta say, high drama. Place is brimming with it.
All right.
For instance, on August 21st, the first human case of West Nile virus was confirmed in Wisconsin. On October 3rd
of this year?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well,
there's not a lot
feels
going
like they're
on.
lagging behind a little bit.
On October 3rd, the headline read, quote, "Circuit Court grants stay, allows equestrian season to continue on Stower Seven Lakes Trail." And on November 2nd, the Polk County Recycling Center held a very successful electronic collection event. So just a hotbed of activity over there.
How are they judging the success of an electron? Is it just like they go by weight or like participation?
I would assume it has to be weight. Yeah, there's no way. Because if you've ever been to like a weight, like a recycling center, it's all weight. I don't know if you've ever delved into scrapping metal. Well,
I've only ever been to a scrapyard once when I was looking for seat belts for a van to go across country with, and they were like, "Oh, we got some seat belts for your van, like over there." They point to this giant stack of cars, and I'm like, "This stack of cars is fucking 80 feet tall." And I'm supposed to climb in to the bottom of this one and rip out the seatbelts. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll do it. But that's my only experience with one of those places.
You pretty much summed it up. That's the exact experience you're looking for when you go for go to a scrapyard.
And a lot of fucking bees.
Oh yeah, bees, flies. They're not the cleanest in any way, shape, or form. But what's
All right.
surprisingly absent from the Polk County website, however, is the story that we're going to be covering today. And it's a story that is weird because I assumed that this area, something like this happening, they would have tried to have like milked it for everything it's worth, like festivals and carnival, like they did with like the Hopkinsville Goblin and like Flatwoods. Like you would think this would
All the current cryptid stuff, but like, oh, tourism money, like,
Yeah, you would think, considering the most exciting thing is that now you can continue walking your horse on a trail, like it's just something. But that story is of William Bosak and his encounter with what is known as the Bosak Cowman, aka the Bosak Humanoid, aka the Bosak Bovine. Are you familiar with this at all?
This is a new one to me. The Bosak Bovine.
It's the best.
So I love that time. Yeah. The alliteration just works.
So the story goes that on December 2nd in 1974 at around 10 p.m., William Bosak, a 68-year-old dairy farmer, was driving from a co-op meeting in Frederick, Wisconsin, back to his 450-acre farm in Polk County. Having owned and operated his farm for close to 4 decades, making this drive to and from the co-op is something he's done a billion times. So he knows this route like the back of his hand. On this particular night,
a lot of fucking acreage, though.
It's a big farm, right? I guess if it's a dairy,
Jesus Christ, yeah.
If it's a dairy farm, I guess you kind of need it. I don't know shit about farming, so
I only know from what I've seen on Yellowstone. That's pretty much it. They need the cows need to graze, and the grass needs to not have some kind of disease in it, right? I think that's the only thing that you need to do.
Yeah.
No,
that I'm pretty sure that sums up farming. It's as easy as that. Cows got to graze. Grass can't be gross.
Yep, perfect. We're all set for when shit pops off.
On this particular night, though, the roads were shrouded in a low-hanging, like, dense fog, causing him to drive a little bit slower, be a little more cautious with his driving. Now, at this point, it's about 10:30 at night, and William is less than a mile from his house, which is when they say most accidents happen, right? Or something like that. Now, he's about a mile from his house when his headlights catch the glimmer of something. That something is a 10-foot tall and 3-foot wide cone-shaped object hovering in the distance on the left side of the road. I hesitate to call it a ship just because the description of it seems more like an escape pod or a capsule or something. It's not really a ship.
Yeah.
3 feet wide
Traffic
isn't
cone,
big enough.
A large traffic cone.
Yeah. And I also hesitate to say it's hovering. The bottom part he described as being covered with like the fog, so he couldn't say for sure if it was hovering, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it is just for the story's sake.
All right, yeah.
So at this point, Bosak did what I'm assuming either of us would do in this situation, and that is he slowed down and then eventually stopped his car just close enough to get a better look at this thing, because fuck it, if we die, we die, right? I'm not going to give up the opportunity to see it.
It's better to die getting ripped apart by some weird alien bullshit than dying because I ate too much salt in a hospital bed when I'm fucking 85 years old.
Exactly.
I would rather,
that's the outlook
much
on
rather
life I'm
get
looking
torn
for.
apart by aliens.
So after giving the pod a good once over, he noticed that there was a window made of domed glass. So I guess like a porthole more than I honestly don't know the difference between a porthole or a window, but I'm just going to say a porthole because it sounds more shippy. Now, through this porthole, he was able to see a very brightly lit compartment. And in that compartment, he saw, well, hold on. I'm just going to read the quote of what he saw because I think he'll describe it better than I ever could. He said, quote, "I can remember it just as if it were yesterday. It was a little taller than a tall man. I can see a figure."
Because I'm the tall one in my family, and I'm 5'10".
Yeah, it's just a little taller than a tall man.
A little tall. All right, perfect. All right.
I could see a figure with its arms raised above its head. He was looking out the window, and it was a different kind of character than you'd see on this earth, end quote. He then went on to describe this slightly taller than a tall man character like this. He said, quote, "It looked a good deal like a man."
But not from this earth.
But it had had a different looking face than you'd see. It had kind of a cowl looking face, dark tan fur except for its face and chin, and a square face with hair sticking straight out from the sides. The ears stuck out from the head about 3 inches, and the eyes were large and protruding. The ears were calf-like, end quote. So basically, to sum up William's description, it was a tall alien cow thing, slightly taller than a man. So.
Oh, okay.
But
so there's just this cowman flying through space in this weird ship.
Yeah, pretty
looking
much.
out this hole, just staring at people.
But
all right.
Going off of the artist's depictions, because obviously people have heard of this, and then the community has to draw it. What I've gathered is, you ever seen Mac and Me?
Of course.
It kind of looks like one of the parents from Mac, so like the really tall ones, but like covered in brown fur.
That's a deep cut. It's a deep cut. Because I remember Mac with the little straw mouth.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it.
Picture
Except
that, but
and the wheelchair kid. Yeah,
picture that like 7 feet tall, but covered in brown fur.
But with all right.
I don't know. I'm just telling you what I saw.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Hey.
But, the weirdest thing that Bosak noticed about this was that it looked scared. It had its arms raised, eyes wide, like it wasn't expecting anyone to come through, or that it was like unaware of its surroundings and didn't want to start any sort of fuss, which makes me think even more that it was some sort of like escape pod or like an emergency vehicle of some sort. Because if it's tall enough for him to just stand up and raise his arms and that's it, like what's he really? You can't really fly that. I don't know. Space travel's weird.
Unless it's kind of like a Superman thing where they're getting sent off to that other dimension. Oh my God, my brain. I've had a couple drinks today already, so I don't. In the spirit of Cryptid Cocktail Hour, the Phantom Zone. So I just picture this like cowman flying through, like in like just like flipping back and forth. Like maybe he's getting ejected from this plane of existence.
Well, we'll get into theories of what it could be, but one of them was, and I didn't even subscribe to it, was that kind of like in Superman, how, I guess in Man of Steel, Zod and his people were all in those like those pods that they were frozen in, and they came out. They're trying to say that this dude's like an intergalactic criminal, and that's what it was. It was like a criminal pod, which.
Yeah, that's they were getting sent to the Phantom Zone.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's.
But either way, after about 10 seconds of eye contact with this thing, which the 10 seconds felt like minutes to William.
That's a long time for eye contact.
His initial shock receded. And that really is, wow. Yeah, that is a long time for eye contact. But his initial shock receded, and in its place, just fucking sheer terror. He started to just straight up panic. And at this point, Bosak said, fuck it, put the pedal to the metal and just hightailed it. So he's fucking speeding through the woods, almost to the comforts of home. Bosak thought he had put a good amount of distance between him and this bovine humanoid. When he suddenly noticed that the lights in his car started to darken, the sound of his engine started to slowly fade, and his headlights started to dim. Then Bosak hears what he described as a whooshing sound, followed by a scraping against the roof of his car. Kind of like if you go under like a low-hanging branch and you just hear like that kind of thing. That's what he said he heard.
Okay.
I don't know. But using what juice he had left, he floored it, just fucking barreling through the fog all the way back to the safety of his homestead. And once there, he was able to calm himself down, kind of just take in what had happened. And after taking some time to just sit and collect his thoughts, he decided, as a lot of UFO and alien witnesses do, fearing what it might do to their relationships and social and familial like reputations, he decided, well, I probably shouldn't tell anyone about this because I'm going to sound like a fucking lunatic.
What was the year of this one?
68, I believe.
I feel like sensibilities have changed so much because
it was 1974.
Now with one of us. Yeah, I mean, so still, like, I feel still a window of like, everybody's going to think I'm crazy if I tell you this. If something like that happened now, I'd be ringing that bell all of social media. Look at this shit I fucking saw.
Oh, dude.
And
I'd be milking it for all it's worth.
Yeah. I get that, 10 minutes of TikTok fame.
Yeah, but then you're
just trying to like, yeah.
But then you're going to have one of those, like the Vegas UFO backyard alien thing. Everyone's just going to be like,
oh my God. Yeah.
No, I mean, I guess if you don't get video of it, you just have your story. It's better than having shitty looking video of it. You know what I mean?
Dude, every video that I post on my page is people like, but it's 2023 and we get this potato camera shit. I'm like, dude, this is shot in the 70s. What am I supposed to tell you? But like every comment, but like even that Vegas one, that like some of those like where like, where like it would zoom in and show like this is the face of the alien and like in between the holes of the fence and shit like that. You'd be like, I don't know about this. This is pretty suspect, but and back to the bovine experience,
Well, like I said, he decided probably best to not say anything to anyone. I mean,
mistake.
In the 70s, though, in a rural, like, Wisconsin, Midwestern town, you're a dairy farmer. I feel like it's not the most welcoming.
People aren't going to buy your milk. They're calling up.
He's going to get made fun of at the co-op every weekend now. Now, the following day, William decided to shirk all of his duties on the farm and immediately returned to where the ship craft pod thing was, and obviously it wasn't there. No evidence except for a patch of grass off to the side of the road where the object had been hovering. Now, Bosak was able to keep silent about his encounter for about 3 weeks until he decided enough was enough. He's going to confide in his wife. Now, one thing I've learned from doing this show,
that secret.
That's a long time to keep it a secret. But what I've learned from doing this show is that most people who witness something like this and hold it in, most of the time, the reason they end up deciding it's time to tell someone is pretty much because they have like PTSD or they're traumatized by what happened and just need to tell someone because like the weight is just crushing their soul. But for William, it was a little bit different. He didn't confide in his wife because he was plagued with trauma or fear, but for him, it was guilt. He regretted not staying and trying to communicate with the scared being and like trying to show that he was a friendly dude. he told you what do you got?
It's like, what? I had an opportunity. Like he's in the dairy and cow business. Yeah. And he's like, look at this guy. It's like, what? Like maybe there's an opportunity here. And I just blew it. I should have reached out. We could have done something, could have had, made millions.
If anyone was going to be an ambassador for the human race, I want it to be a 68-year-old dairy farmer from Wisconsin.
Oh, Jesus. I don't,
he has the plight. He knows the plight of the everyman. He knows what's
the
really
common
going
man. Yeah.
I mean, if anyone, it should be him, right? And the fact that he felt bad about it, now I kind of think he should have been. He's probably better than all of us.
Yeah, he got some ethics in there, all right.
Well, yeah. What he said was, quote, "I wish that someone had been in the car with me at the time. I should have stopped and I tried to show it I was friendly. I wish I could meet up with it again," end quote. Now,
I mean, of course.
It's unclear if his wife had just like loose lips or if Bosak decided to tell more people than just his wife about what he encountered. But news quickly spread around about this dairy farmer and his encounter. And a short time later, a story was written up about the incident in the St. Paul Pioneer Press. And this story caught the attention of Everett E. Leitner and Dewey Burscheid, I don't know how to pronounce this last name, who were investigators for the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, or APRO for short. Are you familiar with APRO? I've never heard of them before, but apparently they were started by like really famous, like...
I haven't heard of that one, no.
Yeah. Now, Bosak was more than willing to talk to Dewey and Everett, granting several extensive interviews with the pair, as well as setting up interviews with his family, friends, and neighbors, who all pretty much said that the story was bananas, but that Will was an honest man with a good reputation, so they don't really have any reason not to trust that he at least saw something that night. But Bosak got it. He knew the story was wild and that skepticism was from his neighbors, family, and friends, and reporters were going to come with the territory. He went on to say in an interview, quote, "You know how the neighbors are." They questioned it. The editor in town didn't believe it. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be skeptical after hearing what happened to me. But if people don't believe me, I'll take a lie detector test to prove this isn't just something I made up, end quote. So he stuck to his story, which I'm.
Yeah. He hasn't, do you know if he's still alive?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know if it's one of those like deathbed confessionals where he's like,
No.
me and Marty, we got together and we made this thing because milk sales were down and we really needed to get the attention. I just keep saying milk, but I'm sure it's like beef and like I can think of as, you know, slaughterhouse shit.
Well, I mean, if it's
Dairy
a dairy
farm,
farm, I assume there's milk and cheeses, curds,
Yeah.
kicking around
Yeah.
there.
Cheese was down, needed to think of a way to kick up business.
First of all, I highly doubt that cheese was down in Wisconsin in 1974. If anything, it was booming back then. But I don't know. I don't know much about the cheese market.
Right. We're gonna have to take a pause, and we're gonna have to look at the cheese market, the stats of the 70s.
I think I'm gonna have to.
We can properly research this.
I'm gonna have to go take a trip to Wisconsin, really get boots on the ground, and really figure out what was going on here.
Right. No, I think any ethical podcaster would do that.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do that.
I don't know. All right, well,
that's the difference between me and you.
Yeah.
That's what you would do it. On the other hand.
Yeah. I'm looking up. I'm on Priceline right now, seeing what I can get.
Now, according to Cryptopia.us, there have been a ton of speculation as to what this cowboy actually was, with theories ranging
cowboy
from just a straight up Bigfoot that can fly a spaceship, which I'm just gonna say no. Bosak was a dairy farmer, so if he says it looks like a cow, I'm gonna believe him, considering Bigfoot is.
I mean, he's an expert. Yeah,
clearly a primate. Other theories say it was an emissary of its race. Others say it's a fugitive, like I said to you. My favorite, though, and this is the one I'm gonna go with, is that it could be a highly evolved, time-traveling descendant of the cows that Bosak had on his farm.
What pivotal moment in cow history did he contribute to that they needed to appear to him in that time? Or maybe if it's a time travel thing, and we just think of like our little, like, you know, we got a little wedge of time that we got going here, and we don't factor into it. So if cows are that evolved, and they go back, or they go forward in time so far where like they ended up having technology to be able to time travel, why would this even be anywhere near the time to like show up and be like, oh, well, you know, we got to, like, is it like a Skynet situation where this is the farm in which like a cow finally gains sentience?
He's like the John Connor of the cow universe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that maybe that's where you're going with when, you know, we're talking about deathbed confessionals. Maybe that's something's going to happen.
But maybe, hear me out, maybe the reason why all those cattle mutilations happened in like the 90s and the early 2000s, maybe cows do eventually become the superior race. So the aliens are coming down trying to figure out, well, what are their weaknesses? Maybe there's a cow gray space battle in the future, like a huge civil war.
Oh, and that's why they're attacking the lineage of cows.
Exactly.
In the Midwest.
Yeah. And that's why whenever
I think we're living in very important times for the cow.
Clear the cow revolution
uprising,
that's about to happen.
Yeah. Instead of the Planet of the Apes, it's Planet of the Bovines.
I mean, not gonna lie, I'd watch that anime. But in the end, I guess we'll never really know what the bovine creature was. As far as I know, this is the only encounter with a being of this description, and sadly, the cowman never returned, especially not to Bosak's farm to pay him another visit. And even sadder is that on December 22nd, 1996, William Bosak was found dead in his home at the age of 90, 22 years to the day of his encounter with the Bosak cowman. And he never got a chance to reconnect with him and show him that, you know, he was just a nice dude trying to hang out. But yeah.
Were the footprints at the scene?
As far as I know, he wasn't murdered by the Cowman Revolution. Because apparently he played a pivotal role in it. I don't know. But yeah, that's the story of William Bosak and the Bosak bovine, Cowman, humanoid, whatever you want to call it. What are you feeling? How are you feeling?
It's interesting, but like, I don't understand why somebody would feel the need to embed something like that. So I don't discount that he saw something, but like as a cow thing, I think maybe he just seen so many cows in his lifetime that he like maybe saw like an alien or something like that, and it's just like he's like looking through this porthole and he's like, oh, it's a cow head, and you're like, oh, well, is it, buddy?
Yeah, the fact that he is a dairy farmer and he saw a cowman is kind of convenient in a way, but I guess if you're just around cows all day, they're really your only point of reference on how to do, like, it's like the human brain. You know how we try to see faces and everything.
Yeah,
maybe
he tries to see cows and everything.
Yeah, it's like that. Like whenever he sees like a weird knot in a plank of wood, he's like, that's clearly a cow, where everyone else would see like a face of a dog or something. You know what I mean? But fucking I don't know.
He's like, no, that's clearly a cow.
Yeah, every burnt piece of toast to him is just a cow, not Jesus.
Well, I mean, I think that's I think he maybe just had a UFO encounter, and then it ended up turning into this bigger thing to him. Well, again, I don't even know.
I don't know. We'll never know.
Shit happen.
I mean, do I think that he saw a cowman? No, but I don't. But I don't know at the same time. But you, like you said, what reason does this 70-year-old man in the 70s have to gain from it? Like, as far as I know, he didn't like get a book deal or a movie. Like, nothing came from it, and he stuck to the story his whole life.
Right.
Like, he didn't gain anything from it. The only people who really gained something from it was probably those 2 UFO researchers who interviewed him. You know what I mean? They probably wrote it in magazines and books and probably got paid to do some. But he just, was just like, fuck it, man. I'll take a lie detector test. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Back in old YouTube days, I remember they're talking about how there were 72 different species of aliens living on planet Earth right now.
Now, how would we know
And
that?
I can only tell you, I mean, you know, it is like a guy will just be standing in front of a group of people and he'll go do every single one of them. And you're like,
Yeah.
Okay, dude, like maybe, but this is ridiculous.
I think I could name like maybe 4 or 5 at the most.
Yeah.
You got grays, tall whites, reptilians. If you're going off fucking Sweary Carey from Project Camelot, you got the raptors and and the Palladians or something like that. Is that a thing?
Yeah,
I feel like that's a thing.
I think the Nordics and the tall whites the same kind of thing. I guess.
Yeah, but we also we covered that. I think they're the same people that live in the center of the Earth in Hollow Earth.
Yeah, dude. I tried to get a flat Earth person to come on my show. Have you had a flat Earth person come on yet? Or
No,
have you done a flat Earth show?
No, we did Hollow Earth. I want to do flat Earth, but I think before I do flat Earth, I want to do Hollow Moon because I think that's way funnier. Yeah, I used to work with a flat earther, and he was also a Proud Boy and a Trump supporter. So nothing he said I took seriously.
Jesus.
So
yeah,
I feel like it's funny how
like why do those?
It's funny how those two
worlds
worlds
come
like
hand in hand?
Yeah, they really intersect with one another. I think it just goes to show that they're just a bunch of bright people. But that, you know,
well, you know. Smartest of the bunch. I appreciate them.
All right, Josh. Well, I appreciate you coming on. We're pretty much at the end of it. Do you want to plug your stuff? I know you got your shop, your podcast. Just let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah. I do a billion different things: tattooer, illustrator, and I run the Hellmouth Paranormal. So I just do T-shirts and just fun kind of stuff. So you can either find me, it's joshuaandrewbelanger.com, which I thought it was cool 20 years ago getting that address, but now where I'm like trying to give people my email address, I'm like, all right, it's me, Josh. Yeah.
I was afraid I didn't spell it correctly because there were so many letters. And
yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, you just Google my name, Joshua Belanger, and art, and it'll come up. So
yeah, and
I do a lot of stuff.
I'll be sure to link all your links in the episode description. But yeah, make sure you follow him. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok, Cryptid Cocktail and Cryptid Cocktail Party, respectively. And with that, Josh, do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.